Welcome to Dream Big with Zhanna, inspiring you to reignite, refire, and refuel your life. And in this episode, I am super excited to be welcoming this wonderful gentleman that you guys can see on the screen if you're watching us. If you are listening to the podcast, you cannot see him, but you will hear his wonderful voice and everything he has to say. Right. So I'm talking about Ben Saltzman, right? Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Saltzman, you got it.
Okay, I got it. So for those of you who are new to Ben's world, he's actually the expert. Well, first of all, let me introduce him as the agent for radical change. And his website is actually called, you wouldn't believe it, touchedandtransformed.com. So, and that's who he is, because we're going to be talking about Enneagram. And if the word itself is a new kind of set of sounds for you, Ben will, just clear the fog, right?
Yeah. We'll make those sounds mean something.
These sounds mean something, and they mean a lot. So just a few words from the official bio. So Ben Saltzman, yes.
Saltzman.
AMA is an igniter of human potential. The coach's coach, an internationally known world-class facilitator, shadow dancer, Fortune 500 leadership trainer, coach to spiritually minded multi-millionaire entrepreneurs, and designer of the year-long Relational Mastery Course for emerging leaders. Ben has a master's degree in organizational development from John F. Kennedy University, where he teaches regularly. He also taught seminars in the Enneagram and Transformational Coaching at the Institute of Transpersonal Psychology, and co-founded the Israeli Enneagram Center in Tel Aviv, Israel, where he facilitates the master level classes. Actually, that part of your bio really speaks to me, because it's so needed around the world. And I'm glad that Israel is one of the countries where Enneagram is actually known, and you're a part of it. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Ben, we'll stop here. From my personal perspective, I just want to add a little bit of the flavor, my personal flavor on Ben. And I know him as completely transparent, open to everything, like all the feelings and all that is coming into his world, people, situations, anything that he can attract. I mean, he's the living proof that you can live the life to the fullest. So it's always a joy to be with you. And I'm so excited to get to talk to you today. So
I love how you introduce that. Radical openness is what it sounds like as you describe me to me. I'm like, yep, that feels accurate. Open to the emotions, to the gifts, to the vibrancy, to the love, to the pain, to the whole shebang.
Yes. So let's jump right in, and just can you please really unveil the mystery around Enneagram? What is it?
Yeah. So often on these kinds of interviews, 70% of the people have never heard of it, and about 30% of the people have. So we'll start off with the 70% who haven't heard of it and kind of bring them up to speed.
Yes.
So Enneagram, 9-sided object, comes out of Greek, and basically the Enneagram is a system for personal and spiritual transformation, for the evolution of your soul. It is a system based in spirituality rather than a lot of the assessment tools that are based in kind of Western psychology assessment. The Enneagram comes out of spiritual transformative tradition. So it's, as much as it is helping you understand your hidden blocks, your hidden belief structures, your hidden emotional triggers, how you see the world, it's also transformative. The basic idea here is you're not stuck in your personality type.
Oh, that's wonderful. So now I mean, there are so many directions we can go from here. And I know like during this one episode, it's impossible to talk
Yeah.
about everything, but let's start with you personally. I'm really interested in how you even discovered that Enneagram theory, philosophy, because there are so many modalities out
Yeah.
there that are more common.
Right.
So what's the story?
Yeah. So the Enneagram describes 9 different personality types and how do they show up in relationships and work and in leadership. And I was getting into developing leaders as a coach. And I was talking to my mentor coach about the work. And she says to me, Ben, for the kind of depth work that you want to do, if we're going beyond goal setting, strategy, cheerleading coaching, like it's obvious to me you really want to shift how people show up in the world, their being, how they inhabit their bodies, how they are in relationship to each other. To do that kind of deeper level work, you got to check out the Enneagram. And I had never heard of it before. I was like, what's that? Lay it on me, sister. What do you got? And she says, well, it's profound, it's deep, it describes these 9 personality types. Go look for it. It's all over the place. So I live in Santa Cruz, California. So I start looking for in Santa Cruz. If you don't know, it's in California, and it's kind of like woo-woo capital of California, which is a pretty woo-woo state just by itself, right?
Yes. Yes.
So here I am in Santa Cruz. I'm looking around for the Enneagram, which, is the spiritual system. So you'd figure in Santa Cruz, it'd be everywhere. Nothing. There is no one teaching. So I had to, travel over miles and hills and cities and like, who's teaching this and what is it? What's going on with it? And I first encounter it up in San Francisco. And the way that they're teaching is called panels. So one of the ways that we teach this system is we have 4 people who are all of the same personality type in front of the room. And as a facilitator, I would take the panel into the self-exploration. So they're revealing themselves to the audience. There's usually a lot of like tenderness and openness, and we get to feel the pain of the type and the joys and the strengths of the type. And if it's a really good panel, there's transformation that happens.
So my question, that's basically the process on how you do it. But before we go into the process, I personally really interested. When was it? How old were you? Like, were you 16? Were you 10 when you discovered that?
Yeah. So it was a little over 20 years ago. So I'm just,
because you mentioned, Ben, the reason I'm asking is because you mentioned that you were a coach at the time, right? So you were already the coach, but you didn't know about the Enneagram. So your path, your personal path, you still wanted to be the coach. You just discovered this wonderful tool that you added into your like plethora of all everything.
Right. I was just starting as a coach then, in the first couple of years of coaching, so I'm probably early 20s. But I started very early. I started coaching way before most of the other coaches. So I'm early 20s. I'm starting to coach, and I saw the type 7. I'm a type 7 on the Enneagram. So when I saw that panel, I was like, holy shit. Like, they're describing things about me. I'm getting nervous. I'm like, oh, don't tell them that. Like, don't go there. And so I'm like blushing as the 7s are up there describing their stuff, and I'm getting emotionally triggered and activated. I'm watching the type 4 panel, and the type where the 7s always move towards the lightness and the joy and kind of what's possible. The 4s are often pulled into depth, darkness, pain, suffering. Like, they're at home in that in a way that the 7s, particularly young 7s, are not. So to see that 4 panel after feeling all revealed on the 7s panel just sent me spinning. I was like, I couldn't even hold my ground. I was just like in la la land.
So it is a fascinating tool. Now, my question is, can you, for people who are listening to that for the very first time, they don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Why is it so important? So let's say we watched the panel, it was really mind-opening for you. How do you practice practically, like tangibly use it, like why do you need to do it? Why do you need
Yeah.
to uncover, reveal?
Yeah.
Whether that, there's a lot of people who are listening right now, they are entrepreneurs, but there's also a group of people who would like to know if it's even necessary to do it, whether you are in your own business or you are working for the corporate. Does it make any difference, and why? What the big question is, why
Yeah.
is it needed?
Yeah. So many of our clients are both leadership in larger businesses and entrepreneurs who are, like really taking off in the entrepreneurial world. And I mean, underlying this is the assumption that the way that you manage your relationships, the way that you show up in relationships, the way that you form relationships, the way that you build trust and connection with people is critical to your success. So that's kind of our foundational piece. Who you are in relationships and the way you form relationships opens doors for you or can totally slam and close your business.
So let's say, may I jump in? Is that okay?
Sure.
So let's say I am type, I'm not sure, but I don't know. You could tell.
Let's pretend you're a 2.
Let's pretend I'm 2.
Okay.
So if I know I'm type 2,
Yeah.
right? So how is it going to help me in my relationships with people, whether personal or business relationship? If I know my weaknesses, is it possible for me to turn my weaknesses into the strength? And like you said, if I know that this is my weakness and you saying that it's going to close the doors for me, is there a possibility to shift it around?
Yeah, absolutely. Like that's what I was saying earlier. The whole system is predicated on you can transform, you can change, you're not stuck. So let's say you are a 2. The type 2s often, as an entrepreneur, they wrestle with self-value, like valuing themselves high enough and setting limits and boundaries. Because the 2s are very invested in relationship. Can I connect with? Are we feeling good about each other? Like what is the vibe between us? They're attuned to that. So to create good connection, to meet other people's needs, they often give up their own needs. They often have trouble setting their own boundaries. So we have a lot of entrepreneurs that come in and work with us, and they're either not charging enough for their services. So, their skill set is they should be charging $200 an hour, and they're actually charging $100 an hour. They're not ending sessions on time. So the sessions are rolling, 20 minutes late, half hour late. So then they're feeling burnt out. So they're kind of overworked and underpaid. And eventually they get kind of resentful of the whole thing. So now they're pissed off, underpaid, and burnt out. Right?
Okay.
So when you do the inner work, we get out of that kind of need to please and form connection. And then they start to set their boundaries. Their self-value goes up. They start to own their own strength and their own value. Now, instead of making $4,000 a month, they're making $8,000 a month. They're actually getting paid what they deserve. And instead of working 60 hours a week, they're working 30 hours a week. Like there's a big shift between I'm stressed out and I'm working 60 and I'm feeling good about myself and my life and my relationships and I'm working 30.
Yeah.
It's a dramatic change.
Right. Another question, by the way, if you guys are recognizing something of what Ben is describing about me pretending that well, we're just hypothetically thinking that I'm type 2,
yes.
But some of it resonates, but some of it, I think maybe I'm already transformed type 2. I don't know, but we'll discover later. But I just want you to pay attention when Ben is describing, if it resonates with you, and if you see yourself in that, you're probably type 2, and you can check out Ben's website, touchedandtransformed.com, and you actually have Enneagram personality assessment test, right?
Yes, we have an online test.
It's an online test. I think it's in the description before. It's online on Hummingbird Academy today, and it's going to be on YouTube also. So if you want to check that out, please by no means do, because it's really helpful. Ben, another question for you. Now that let's say I'm type 2,
Okay.
But I also learn about other types. And I know, let's say you are type 7. Can I adjust based on my knowing how you operate? Can I now connect with you in a much better way that will suit you, but also not giving in my own values?
Yes, yes, exactly. So usually people start with their own self-discovery. They want to know their own type. They take our online test. The test is only 5 minutes, like go, it's free. So I like that kind of narcissism of the world, that we want to start with our own development. I think that's the most powerful use of the system.
Mm-hmm.
But a close second is understanding the other 8 types. So there's 9 types altogether, yours, and then another 8 types. So when we discover those other 8, the way that we can connect, the language that we use, the energetic matching that we can use, the way we can avoid triggering their fears or making them feel awkward. Like once we know their type, it's so easy to connect and for them to go, wow, I like you. You get me. You understand me.
Right, but you do it not to give in. I just want people to understand it's how you really get the point across without like standing by your own values. Because a lot of people might be thinking that this is manipulating. Because it's what would you say to that?
I would say, like, I've got an 8-year-old daughter, and when I get goofy and play with her, I'm not manipulating. I'm meeting her where she is.
Yes.
She loves it. Oh, yay, my dad's goofy in here and we're playing strange games. I mean, you met my daughter, right?
I'm in love with your daughter.
Yeah, she's wild and outrageous and expressed. And when I can match that energy and do that dance with her, it's not being false. That place is inside me. I'm goofy, I'm wild, I'm expressed.
Yes.
That's all true for me. I'm just kind of bringing that forward to have fun and engage with her in a way that we can both really meet each other and feel good about it.
Absolutely.
So that's the same thing that you're going to be doing with the other people in your life. You're going to be finding those aspects of yourself that really are ready to come out and ready to join with them and ready to make connection and ready to feel authentic and raw and present with each other.
Mm-hmm.
We all have that inside of us.
Yeah, yes. I'm so glad. I mean, so glad you're talking about being playful and goofy because I just on another program, as you know, interview kids, and I interviewed Jordan.
Yeah.
Jordan. I mean, I'm in love with her, and every time I ask a kid, including Jordan, what is the difference between adults? Like, how do children see us adults? And what's the difference? Are we alike or we are actually similar? And Jordan was the only one out of all the kids I've interviewed so far who said, I love my dad. He's so playful. Because the other kids, the huge difference that they see is they see the adults do not play anymore.
Yeah.
So it's a compliment to you. I mean, when you open up and you're fully present, just like we said at the beginning, this is incredible.
Yeah.
Amazing. So
what they often say is you have your primary type, but you have all 9 archetypes inside you.
Of course.
These are the 9 faces of God that we all get to step into, that we all get to embody, that we all get to live through. So yeah, you're going to be doing your transformational work around your type primarily. But as you get access to all the high sides of all the other 9 types, like all kinds of things can change for you.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people have come to me afterwards and said, I finally understand my wife. She's a type 5. I saw the 5s panel. I finally understand my wife. We fell back in love after watching that panel. Or my kid, who I felt estranged from, he's so fearful and he's always questioning my authority. Now I get it. He's a type 6. He's not questioning my authority. He's questioning everybody's authority. He's scared about everybody. It's not just me. So I'm not taking it personal. So now I can actually form a bond with my kid, and I can kind of accept his anxieties and understand him where he is in such a way that the tension is taken out of our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And we feel closer, we feel more connected, like there's heart space there between us. That's huge.
It is huge. It is huge. And I'm sure parent and child relationship can be completely transformed through learning the Enneagram types, right? It's from what you're describing, like any type of relationship. Really. Ben, another question. What is the program is called Dream Big, right? What is your big dream?
What is my big dream? My big dream, it feels a little strange to be saying this, but so when I look out on our political scene these days, it seems like there are a lot of intentional moves towards separation, dividing, using fear and kind of us versus them methods to create distance and separation. I'm dedicated to the opposite. I'm dedicated to forming more authentic relationships, to forming more trust, to forming more heart space, to having us come together as a planet so we don't blow ourselves up, so that we don't go flying off in different directions. So, and my experience with the Enneagram is it breaks all those barriers. That as we get underneath, yeah, my skin might be different than your skin. My religious beliefs might be different than your religious beliefs. My economic situation might be really different than your economic situation. But if I'm a 6 and you're a 6, I know you. If I reveal my type 3 stuff and you can build compassion for me and you're type 7 or 8 or whatever, all that other stuff starts to melt away in our humanity, in our common bond, in our connection. So I want a bunch of badass coaches out there transforming society through the Enneagram and the other modalities that we teach. I think it really can make a difference, and because a lot of coaches that we train are impacting high impact and influence individuals, right? Who have power, who have influence, who are investing billions of dollars, or who are designing policy or making things happen. So my dream is that the Enneagram and the particular way that we teach people to use it really goes out into the world and makes a difference and brings us together. And I've seen it over and over. So it doesn't feel like pie in the sky. It feels like something that we can actually do to make a difference.
I love that. Yeah. Thank you so much for, I'm wholeheartedly supporting your movement. Seriously, it seems like it's very, very powerful, and it's coming from your heart, and I can feel it. So yeah, thank you for saying that. So if people have questions for you and they want to connect, going through the website is the best way to connect with you?
Yeah, that's probably your best way in. I'm on Facebook a lot. If you to go to our Touched and Transformed, Ben Saltzman Touched and Transformed Facebook page. If you go there, we're very responsive.
Can they privately message you on Facebook?
I don't know.
So
probably could, but the best way is really through the website. I mean, that's where you find all of our offerings. We have stuff, we have virtual programs, we have live 3-day events, we've got a year-long intensive like that. The website's going to have all kinds of juicy stuff for you.
Beautiful. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, because I'm sure people will be interested in checking that out. And if they have questions, specific questions for you, not for your coaches, but not for anybody else, but for you, for Ben, the best way, again, is through the website, right?
Yeah, through the website, or you can go on our Facebook page.
Facebook. Can you say the name of the Facebook page again? Is it Touched and Transformed?
It's Touched and Transformed. I think it's maybe like -Ben, but if you put in Touched and Transformed and Ben Saltzman, you'll get there.
Okay, wonderful. And if you guys are watching and listening and this resonates with you, please spread the love and spread the word about Enneagram, about the work that Ben is doing in the world. So you can share the video. You can also, here on Facebook, you can also do it through YouTube. If you go to Zhanna Shpits, or Dream Big with Zhanna and then Ben Saltzman, you will see it in a few days, maybe even by tomorrow it's going to be there. So that's the best way to connect. And Ben, before we wrap it up, I mean, I don't want to let you go, but But before we wrap it up, I ask all the guests on the show, what would be, if you had one gem out of your treasure chest? Usually it's a question more for women, like something elegant. Men would refer to the toolbox, you know, and then I picture somebody like a construction worker with a hammer, however you want to think, whatever the image. What would you say? Something to inspire, uplift, transform.
This is where this is the switch that I'm hoping that you can make. Often we believe our personality type is something that we are stuck with. The fears that we have, the quirks that we have, the issues that we have that are holding us back or making us play small or kind of keeping our light dimmed. And my belief after working with thousands of people over the past 2 decades is we are not trapped by our type. That there are aspects of your quirkiness that you can embrace and love, and that things can dramatically shift for you. That the way that you show up in the world, the way that you form relationships, the way that you are with other people in your life can dramatically change. You're not stuck in your type, and your relationships can look really different. There's a lot more trust, a lot more connection, a lot more love is available to you that you don't even have a sense of what it can look like yet. So like risk diving.
It's I think it's a line. There was a line from Mary Poppins. Everything will happen if you let it. Right? It's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So you guys are watching and listening to Dream Big with Zhanna, inspiring you to reignite, refire, and refuel your life. And today we had a really, really great pleasure to be talking with Ben Saltzman, who is the agent for radical change. And if you want to connect with him, it's touchedandtransformed.com. Thank you so much. If you have comments, anything, you can comment below the video. Thank you. And go through Ben's website. Thank you so much, Ben.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Pleasure
your wisdom.
being here. Bye, y'all.
Yeah. Bye.